If the start of 2025 is anything like what the rest of the year is probably going to be like, then we are in for a roller coaster of a ride. Specifically here with the housing market in San Francisco. There have been a lot of factors at play over the last couple of years as housing has been continuing to figure out which direction it's really going to go. In the wake of the COVID market, where we had such a run up in demand and home prices here in the Bay Area, now we've seen a little bit of a softening or coming down to earth of some areas of housing within the Bay Area. But how is all of this going to shake out? What's going on with the administration and all the talk of tariffs and all the economic uncertainty and, quite honestly, a lot of chaos right now as things figure themselves out? What's that impact here on the Bay Area and housing? What are we going to be dealing with in terms of interest rates and mortgage loan products that are out there? What about new development that's actually happening here in the Bay Area? So there are three key areas that I'm paying very close attention to here as it pertains to housing in the San Francisco market for the rest of 2025. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Before we get into it, I just want to take a quick second and thank you for watching this video. And if you could please do me the honor and favor of liking this video and subscribing to my channel so that we can reach more people like you with content like this that's going to help them make better informed decisions about taking out real estate or in getting into real estate here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My name is Arjun Dhingra. I'm a two-time Taekwondo world champion, the former Team USA co-head coach. I've been a mortgage advisor for 25 years and live here with my family in Marin County, but I work in San Francisco. Now, it's been my job to serve thousands of families and individuals make smart decisions when taking out mortgage debt so that they can be very strategic and intentional and use it as an actual tool to grow not only their wealth, but set up generational wealth. And if I can be of any help to you, if you are considering moving to San Francisco or you already live here and want to invest in it in some way, shape, or form, please reach out to me so my team can assist you at Arjun Mortgage on Instagram. And that is me that will be replying directly to you because I answer all of my DMs. So let's get into today's video. The three things that I am paying very close attention to when it comes to San Francisco's housing market for 2025. The first are mortgage rates and mortgage product. Now, there are a lot of lending trends that are all quite positive in my opinion. Now, if I were to use the context or the frame of reference of 2008, we saw pretty much every product get pulled off the table because we were in a full economic collapse. And no bank or investor wanted to actually keep product out there because that product was actually what was hurting the market. So they pulled everything off. And there was literally one or two loan products all through the agencies that you could qualify for at the bank. And if you didn't meet all of those guidelines, there was no loan for you. But right now, what we are seeing between investors, portfolio banks, institutional banks, and private lenders that are out there are more and more products coming out to the market. To me, this is one of the healthiest signs of housing because the people who have the money, if they're willing to put it out there in the marketplace to assist more people in gaining access to residential real estate, then this can only mean that they have full faith and confidence in the US housing market and that they want consumers to have plenty of choices, which ultimately is a win for everybody. So that part is absolutely positive and I'm really excited about that. And I don't think anything is really going to deter that, barring a black swan economic event that would cause the banks to basically take on a lot of stress and want to pull things off the table. The other thing are mortgage rates. Now, we have been talking a lot on this channel and even in my short form content, if you follow me on the other platforms, about what was going to eventually bring mortgage rates lower here in the United States. Now, that has taken a lot more time to finally come to fruition, mainly because economic data has been a little bit stubborn and kind of telling the truth of which direction the economy is actually going to go in. And also inflation, the dirty word, has remained quite sticky and stubborn. It just hasn't cooled off as fast as we would like because of commodity prices, shelter costs, and other key areas that have just been a little bit more stubborn. Now with tariff talk, we're seeing a little bit of inflationary pressure, so inflation could be sticking around a little bit longer. For those reasons, I feel that mortgage rates are going to remain around where they are at. So I think whatever you're looking at right now, or whatever you've been talking to lenders about, or if you talk to me, if you're one of my clients, I'm telling you that this is what you should plan on for the rest of the year. There are some moments or small pockets and windows where rates do dip. And this tends to happen every time there's a good economic reading when it comes to inflation, meaning that it's showing that it's finally cooling off a little bit more, or that there's weakness in the consumer, that the economy might actually be slowing down. If you take all of the economic data about credit card debt not only hitting an all-time high, but also that delinquencies are reaching 2008 levels, that tells me that the consumer is basically running out of gas to spend money. And this is an economy that is predicated on spending. If they're spending less money, that leads to lower growth. Lower growth leads to slower economic momentum, and that ultimately leads to a recession. Even if it's a very mild one that no one really feels, but it's just being defined as one, that would lead to mortgage rates being lower. And as of right now, over the last few weeks, in fact, we've seen a little bit of a dip because of cracks in the consumer sentiment and confidence. So that sums up mortgage rates and lending trends that I'm watching for. Now let's move on to the second point that I'm paying close attention to, which is tech and job market stability. Now, there have been massive shakeups over the last 24 months with tech companies kind of reshuffling the decks, trimming some fat from all the COVID hiring with everyone working at home, but now actually being required to come back into the office, and some of them actually just leaving this market altogether. So with a lot of those layoffs, although they were very strategic and not a sign of any weakness in tech, in fact, tech is thriving, and all the companies that do have offices or operations here and throughout the Bay Area are doing just fine. Again, they just trimmed fat. So these were more strategic layoffs and strategic reshuffling to just keep things in order and not overextend themselves. Because at the end of the day, if you took on a lot of extra help during those uncertain times that nobody really knew how to navigate through, and had a lot of people working from home, but now you're bringing people back and recognizing that for the job of 5 people, we don't need 30 people actually doing it. This is what you're actually seeing. But what that leads to is a decreased amount of people with high earning power who are here to pay either high rents or potentially buy property. And if that hurts demand, what does that ultimately do to the overall market? Does it cool prices? Does it leave inventory sitting for longer? We're seeing a little bit of that already taking place. Now, it remains to be seen whether that is directly attributed to a lot of these tech layoffs and reshufflings, but it's something that I'm paying really close attention to, and I think you should as well. Now, AI has come in, and you've seen in previous videos that I've shared, taken out a lot of office space here in San Francisco. In fact, if it wasn't for AI, I think our office market and overall commercial market would be severely depressed. Retail is another story, but with the AI companies coming in and taking out a lot of space, this could be something that helps kind of shore up a lot of that imbalance. Now, it's still unclear as to whether all these companies such as Anthropic and OpenAI are taking out so much space because they're bringing personnel in and actually creating a lot of jobs, and therefore there will be more people downtown that are actually working and potentially living to absorb a lot of that condo inventory, or is it just going to be kind of used as data centers? So we're not quite sure yet, and that is still playing itself out. But again, this particular area pertaining to the job market is something that we want to watch because it impacts all sides of the equation: demand and ultimately supply. The last thing that I'm paying attention to here in the San Francisco market for 2025 is inventory and new construction. We're seeing a lot more sellers entering the market in various lanes, but there's also a lot of new development projects that are in the pipeline. Now, with a lot of these developments and new construction and urban planning, it would bring some more inventory to the market. And this is a market that desperately needs new inventory like a desert needs water. There's just so few options for people to choose from. And because of that imbalance of so many people wanting to buy and so few homes to choose from, because this is a 7-by-7-mile city, so there's no place to really sprawl out to. So whatever's here is here, and that's what everyone has to choose from. But that's what has caused prices to continue to rise at the clip that they did. So new inventory would not only be welcomed, but absolutely needed if we want to finally see a little bit of pressure taken off on the pricing side of things, but also give home buyers that are out there in the market more things to choose from. So let's talk about office conversions. Now, there's been a big movement at the city level and within the planning department to convert office space into housing. Underutilized or underused office buildings that probably aren't going to get taken out are being evaluated to be converted into housing units and rezoned as such, and then ultimately developed for either sale or rent. Now, a lot of this hasn't actually come to fruition yet. It's in the works, and it's in motion, which is a positive sign because there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I'll keep reporting back on that particular area. The other area is school property redevelopment. The San Francisco Unified School District is facing major budget issues, which is nothing new, but they are strongly considering converting surplus school space into actual housing. Very similar to the housing, the office conversions that I just talked about. Now, this initiative, which is not fully yet defined and planned out yet, but if it was to actually come forth and be brought to market, it would create a lot more affordability and inventory for the market, and it would solve the problem also of actually taking unused space or underutilized space and using it to address a major problem that the city has, which is housing. Lastly is a major housing project, although there are a few, but one in particular that is going to bring about 181 units or so to the Mission District. There is a building at 2588 Mission Street that finally, despite a lot of obstruction and protesting and hurdles to clear, is finally getting the clearance because of some new state laws that have taken effect. And this is going to help immensely with creating some more supply for the market, especially in a neighborhood that is already so tight for supply. Giving people more options and more supply ultimately lead to prices cooling, and that's great for everybody. So all of these developments are basically shedding light on some really positive signs for the marketplace because options are good for consumers. As I said, you tie that into the other key areas of watching what's going on with the labor market, specifically tech, as well as watching the mortgage rate trends and mortgage products that remain in the market and are actually serving a lot of people. All of these key 3 areas, I feel, in their own ways, when tied together, are positive for the market. But we're going to continue to watch them to see how they play out. But ultimately for you as a consumer, these are things that you want to watch for. Keep checking back with this channel or reach out to me directly if you ever want to talk about any of them, or if you have thoughts that you want to share based on your own experience here in San Francisco. But I'll keep reporting back as all this plays out throughout the year, because this is an important development. As I said, it's what I'm paying close attention to, and I know it matters to you. So thank you guys for watching this video. We will continue to report back to you on these topics, and I'll see you on the next one.